looks like that the decision about the Zaluzhny's resignation is finally made. Then at the same time, the biggest support package from the European Union to Ukraine has been recently approved, worth of 50 billion euros. And then another missile-carrying corvette of the Russian fleet in Crimea has been sunk by Ukrainians. But more about all of this in just a couple of minutes. What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. And let's get straight to the point and talk about some situation in Crimea. Guys, ridiculous Russian propaganda will be back soon. I still don't have the throat capabilities to scream. So just wait a little bit more. Now let's talk about serious stuff that happened in Crimea, where Ukrainians were able to turn a Russian ship from the Black Sea Fleet into a submarine. And the vessel I'm talking about is the missile-carrying corvette called Ivanovets, and reportedly Russians only have 3 of them, and its estimated cost is anywhere between 60 to 70 million dollars. The Defense Intelligence of Ukraine even later released us this video, showing that in fact it looks like there are several Ukrainian naval drones which are attacking this vessel, which resulted in this ship becoming a submarine, also the Russian Black Sea Fleet. The damages were quite substantial, and there was no denying the fact that this vessel is now under the water, because just like Titanic, it went all the way up and then down. So even the Ministry of Defense of Russia and Russian propaganda itself could not speak against these facts. They had to acknowledge that this event happened, but they did not give much attention to it. You can even see it yourself, the full uncensored version of these drone attacks against the Russian vessel. I uploaded it on my Patreon. YouTube simply does not allow this kind of stuff on their platform, especially from my channel. So guys, if you want, please go ahead and check it, link it down below. There's 10% off if you choose an annual plan, and this is the best way to support the channel, so I thank you so much for choosing me. And later on, even more facts started appearing online, such as for example that approximately 40 sailormen of the Russian Navy were on this ship at the moment of impact, and now they're considered to be lost in action, which you know what we mean. And then later even the satellite images appeared, showing final and undeniable proof that the ship is now once again a submarine. And on this new slide, you can see how many Russian Black Sea Fleet ships Russians still have, with the destruction of this most recent one, Ivanovets. And just like mentioned previously, this time, according to the Ukrainian Navy, this is a significant event, because Russians only used to have 3 of such class vessels. One of them now is no more. And now just a last couple quick words from the south of Ukraine before we go to the east of the country, where there was a big sabotage deep inside on the Russian territory. And so first of all, in Crimea, where there is still a big presence of the Ukrainian army, Russians continue to try and push Ukrainians away from this settlement. But as you could see from this video, the Russian advancing group was met with the Ukrainian fire and they had to retreat. Then there is another footage from along the Dnipro river, where Ukrainians are using night vision drones and target Ukrainian Russian boats. This is also confirmed by the Russian soldiers fighting in this area that indeed Ukrainians are using these kind of drones. And ultimately, here is another video from Zaporozhye frontline, undisclosed yet location, where Ukrainians, it looks like they were able to recapture some stronghold, which were previously occupied by Russians, and even install their Ukrainian flag. So yes, now as promised, let's talk about the situation in the east of Ukraine and the sabotage deep inside Russian territory, before we can talk about record-breaking support from the European Union and the so-called resignation of Zaluzhny. But guys, 240,000 is extremely close. I'm still sick, so let's solve these 2 problems at once. It is very easy. All you need to do is to simply like this video and subscribe to my channel, and after this I'll be fully recovered. Guaranteed. So let's do it, guys. Very, very close. I need your help. Thank you so much. You can also follow me on Instagram to see how I live outside of YouTube. The link is down below. And so yes, first of all is the video from Tambov, located deep inside the territory of Russia, where local partisans or even a diversion group of Ukrainians were able to set on fire this mechanism that distributes the train tracks either left or right, and this railroad was used by Russians to bring their resupplies and missiles closer to the front line. So right now, at least temporarily, they will not be able to do it. Next, to go back to the territory of Ukraine, unfortunately once again to Kharkiv, where recently a hospital has been targeted by Russian attacks and has been severely damaged. And as we go closer to the Ukrainian front lines, in Ivanivka, Ukrainians recently were able to repel at least 5 assault attempts by Russians. Next is the video from Khorlivka, where Ukrainians are attempting a night raid against the position of Russians, and they are quite successful. And the most interesting part about this is, as you can see from this map, this territory is highlighted in pink rather than red, which means that it was occupied all the way since 2015. So this is one of these cases where Ukrainians were able to engage in combat activities on the territories which are long under Russian occupation. Our next stop brings us to Avdiivka, where Ukrainians were able to repel yet another assault by Russians, destroying at least 5 armored vehicles of various kinds. And then another truly devastating for Russians assault happened in Novomikhailivka, where as a result of this 3 hours of complete failure, Russians were able to lose 3 tanks, 7 armored personnel carriers and 1 infantry fighting vehicle. So this equals to 11 armored vehicles in less than 3 hours. And even though the raid only lasted for 3 hours, it has been precisely summarized by the Ukrainian side, which shows you all the important events of this complete failure by Russians. And yes, the full uncensored version, as always, on my Patreon. The link is down below. And ultimately, there has been another attempt by Russians to advance northwest to Marinka, which resulted in nothing, except that Russians lost 2 more tanks. And right here, we have the summary by the Deep State, which shows the results of 2023, which means that Russians were able to capture a total of 574 square kilometers during last year, and Ukrainians liberated only 317 square kilometers. And now guys, just literally approximately 1 minute about this military massive support package from the European Union to Ukraine, before we can talk about this so-called resignation by Zaluzhny. And long story short, according to the head of the European Council, Charles Michel, countries finally agreed on supplying 50 billion euros to Ukraine. And they absolutely did not care about the Viktor Orban from Prime Minister of Hungary speaking something, no, we cannot send money to Ukraine, Hungary needs to get something as well. They were like, okay bro, but we're gonna send money anyways. I don't know what kind of agreements they reached with Hungary or not, but the fact is the fact, Ukraine is getting 50 billion euros. And among some pretty interesting military equipment that Ukraine will most likely be receiving are these self-propelled pontoons from France, as you can see from this video, which will be extremely important and useful for Ukrainians whenever they start crossing the Dnipro River and liberating the rest of the southern Kherson region. Right now it's only Crimea, but with the help of these pontoon bridges, it will be much easier and much more liberation in the days to come. And so yes, now let's finally talk about this drama with the Zaluzhny's resignation, if it's happening or not. So, first of all, in the beginning of this week there were kind of rumors that Zelensky is planning to fire him, and then they started denying it. Zaluzhny even recorded a video saying that guys, everything is normal, I'm not going anywhere. But the situation just does not stop here. Every single day we receive some more news about what's going on. It has even been mentioned that at least 2 other candidates for Zaluzhny's place as the commander-in-chief of Ukrainian forces were offered this place. These are Alexander Syrsky or Kirill Budanov, but looks like at least at the moment of recording this video, none of them are taking this position. In fact, they are supporting Valery Zaluzhny that he should stay. And originally, reportedly, the whole problems started to appear because of how many people should Ukraine mobilize in the future. Zaluzhny was saying that Ukraine must mobilize at least 400,000 to 500,000 otherwise they are risking losing to Russia. And Zelensky was saying that we don't need that many people, we can do as we are doing right now, we just need more support from the West. This was the original idea, at least the assumption on the internet, what caused this division in the first place. Then there were also some talks that it was Zaluzhny who was saying that Bakhmut should stand, that Bakhmut should be kept and protected by Ukrainians until the very last moment. Zaluzhny at the same time then was also mentioning that it is no point keeping Avdiivka, we might give up to Russians because we are spending so much resources protecting it. And then Zelensky on December 30th he visited Avdiivka and encouraged soldiers to keep fighting. Once again, most of this information, it might just be rumors, but as you can see, majority of rumors eventually they become true. So as you can see, there was a long history of disagreements between these two highest Ukrainian authorities. And eventually, since this information originally was leaked to the public that Zaluzhny is being fired, that is why they had to refute the statements and say that this is not true. But once again, couple of days later, the rumors came back, and now Zaluzhny might resign on his own free will, and he might get offered another position within the Ukrainian government or military. And among two potential reasons why it has not happened yet, the reason number one, it is because the leak was a very bad timing, and the reason number two, it is because Ukraine still cannot find the replacement for Valery Zaluzhny. But in my personal opinion, Zelensky already made the decision whether he should keep Zaluzhny or not. It is just that we don't know it yet. They're just waiting for the perfect timing to announce it, which will happen sooner rather than later. Or maybe nothing will happen, which means that Zaluzhny is just simply staying. But just once again, in my personal opinion, if the Zaluzhny's resignation will happen right now, this will be a very big demoralization for the people of Ukraine and especially the military, because Zaluzhny is quite a popular guy among Ukrainians, maybe even more popular than Zelensky at this point, so they would not want to see him go. And at the same time, the Russian propaganda will take this situation and boast about this. They'll be screaming and yelling, look at this, Zelensky, Zaluzhny, they cannot cooperate, what kind of government is this? So as you can see, if this indeed is happening right now, this will be a very bad decision by Zelensky, but he's a very strict and straight to the point person. If he chooses to do something, he will proceed with doing it. I don't think too many people can influence his decisions, so we might see what's gonna happen in the near future. Once again, I think personally he already made a decision, so soon we will know what's that about. And guys, as soon as we know for sure, I will make a video. So please subscribe if you don't want to miss it. I truly appreciate your support. And thank you so much, my Patreons. See you tomorrow.